Good afternoon, good evening, Harlem and Harlems of the world. I'm Terry Wisdom, and this is Harlem Network News. We are a new, not a new, we've been around 4 years. We're a media platform that started at the onset of COVID, and we are still here. We're an essential service. As you know, we started at the onset of COVID, and that is because Black folks were walking around Harlem talking about, I'm Black, I can't get it, reference COVID. So we knew it was really critical to jump into the deep water and just start swimming and assure that Harlem and Harlems of the world were informed because often mainstream media really doesn't cover our news and information,
Mm.
or it's not covered effectively. So this is very, very critical. And our news can often, major news can often be very biased as it pertains to Black and Brown people.
Mhm.
So we know knowledge is power, and we know that we are in the era of fake news. We're in the era of there needing to be fact checking, and that there's a lot of misinformation out there, and not only on mainstream media, but we are also dealing with social media. So,
Mhm.
on that note, we do implore you to support Harlem Network News and grassroots Black media. We need an infusion of money so that we can actually compete with mainstream media. It's critical. And not compete, but do our own thing and just bring straight, great news and information to all the people. Today, we have with us one of our warrior journalists that I've had the fortune to meet and become a great colleague with. We really met prior, but we connected at the DNC
Mhm.
and then met in person here in Harlem. And that is in the person of Catherine Francis Bruce from South Carolina.
Mhm.
And she's here doing her Black job as we are. Catherine, if you would just share who you are, whose you are, how, and why you got started. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Terry. You're the greatest. I'm so glad to have your acquaintance and your collaboration and have this opportunity to be on your show. And my name is Catherine Fleming Bruce. I'm here in Columbia, South Carolina, and I have two organizations. One organization is called T Novza Global Commons, and I do my historic preservation and cultural work and media and civic engagement work out of that arm. And then I have a group called X called Camelot Excalibur Trust, and that is a what we call a PAC, a political action organization. And so I use that to be able to do more of the political work. So I have run for office before. I've run as a candidate for United States Senate for the state of South
Wow,
Carolina, running against Tim Scott.
beautiful.
And so I was one of the Democratic candidates. There were three women in that race. And during the first run of the primary, I was able to get into the primary and do well there. And afterward, I continued to be engaged in helping the battleground states candidates to win through different organizations and so on. So I do have a YouTube channel. It's called
Okay.
Catherine Fleming Bruce for the United States. So feel free to
Mhm.
come on and subscribe and give me a like. And so that is a place where I produce shows that have to do with things like voting rights, um, SCOTUS rulings, US Supreme Court rulings,
Uh-huh.
um, and bringing on subject matter experts, historians, political scientists, people like that to discuss various issues. So most recently, if you go to my page, you will see a conversation that a team of historians had in
Yes,
reacting to
yes, that
the
was excellent.
presidential debate between Trump and Harris. So those are the kind of things that we have on there. And I'm also getting my feet wet in TikTok. So I figured out
Okay,
TikTok, and
all
we have
right.
a few things from there that are on the TikTok channel as well as on my YouTube. So you'll see them there. Um, and so how I happen to be teamed up with Terri
Mhm.
is that I did not apply to be a official independent media person. I applied to be a content creator, and I think that's something where they pick people who have a much larger audience than I do.
Okay,
But they
and
did
that
ask.
was for the DNC, the
That was for
content
the
creator?
DNC, yes.
Okay,
That was
okay,
for the
Democratic
DNC.
National Convention,
Yes, yes,
Chicago.
and they did offer that they wanted people to be virtual correspondents. So I agreed to do that, but I was also on my way to Chicago to participate in some events with the Rainbow Push and Jesse Jackson. So I was able, with a number of supporters, to be able to stay on through the convention to cover some of the events. And I didn't have the credentials to go and be a part of the actual convention.
Okay,
Instead, what I wanted to do was to visit the ancillary events where many groups were talking about issues that were critical to them, what they wanted included in the platform, the Democratic Party platform, what they wanted to bring attention to the candidates and things of that nature. So that's what I followed.
okay, so
At that
that's
time.
pretty, important, it's pretty amazing, and it's also powerful that in Chicago, where the Democratic, National Convention was taking place, that the Rainbow Coalition, which is really Jesse Jackson,
Mhm.
who we know ran for president,
Yes,
Run Jesse
twice.
Run, and Jesse Jackson was also saluted at the convention. So,
Yes.
if you would share just a bit, and I want to make sure I say it right because I might have said, so I want to just say that we are here and it is Catherine Fleming Bruce.
Right, right.
Okay.
Yes.
Uh, but if you would just share what some of those ancillary events were with the Rainbow Coalition that happened simultaneous to the Democratic Convention,
Mhm.
and what some of the outcomes were, or some of the asks or sentiments at some of those conferences that you attended. Thank you.
Okay. Well, a couple of the events took place the weekend approaching the convention. So the convention started on Monday, I believe.
Yes,
So
officially,
on
officially.
Monday. So
Yes.
there was events on Friday and Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
Okay, with the Rainbow Coalition. So the first events that I participated in were a reunion of people who had worked on the Jesse Jackson campaigns.
Uh-huh.
So they have, I think, an annual event where they come together and just celebrate and have different workshops and so on. And so this was one of the events that I came to with one of the alumni who was from South Carolina. Um,
Beautiful.
so that was a great event. So we did that, and some of the people who were at that event, of course, Jesse's family, and they started off giving a award of recognition and gifts to Reverend Jackson.
I love
And
it.
then yes, and then there were speeches and conversations. One that was particularly interesting to me was a conversation on voting and the Transformative Justice Coalition with Barbara Arwine and some of her team were talking about what we needed to do to get ready get people voting and have a successful turnout. Another excellent event.
And who, I'm
have-
sorry, I always want to make sure that our audience is just completely informed. You mentioned Barbara Arwine. Could you share with us like who that is and the significance of her event? Thank you.
Okay, well, she's an attorney,
Mhm.
and she created this organization really to help focus on voting rights and to organize people around voting rights issues. So
Okay.
one of the examples of something that they put together is and certainly they also do things like defense of young Mr. Arbery,
Okay.
who was
Gotcha.
attacked and
Fine.
killed in
Yes.
Georgia. So
Yes.
that's been one of their focuses, is to make sure that they have justice, and that's one of the things
Uh-huh.
I participated in past years. And now one of the things that they focused on, along with Black Voters Matter and Public Citizen, is a renewed effort to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act
Okay. Great.
and several other bills that will help open up the ground for people to be able to get over these barriers that the states have put in to voting. So that's a big part of what they do, and
Okay.
provide, opportunities for people to train and participate in those events.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. And what were some of the other events that happened that you attended? And what was the takeaway? I mean, was it basically focused on the needs and wants of people of color or low income people, people of poverty? What was the focus, please?
Well, I identified a list of these ancillary events. Some of them were put on by what they call third party organizations, and some of them were events for the delegates and things of that nature. So the
Uh-huh.
list, so I was able to choose from these other events that
Okay.
struck my interest. So
Okay.
one series of events was hosted by the Arab American Institute,
Uh-huh.
and those were held at the Rainbow Push Coalition office. So there was a conversation about platforms and how to get certain issues into the platform. There was also issues about what the situation was and is in Gaza right now,
I
and
see.
what they want to see in terms of response. So those events were a couple that I attended from that organization. I
Okay.
attended another set of events that was put on by the Progressive Democrats of America.
Mhm.
So those events focused on progressive themes, poverty, racial justice, the environment, and how to ensure that those issues stay top of mind, for the campaign. And
Okay.
incidentally,
All right.
that's where I came to ask questions about the platform, because there was a person there who said, well, we're trying to talk to delegates to ask them to sign a petition to ask for a certain response to Gaza to be put in the platform.
Okay.
So I was asking, okay, well, what's the story on the platform, and is it done? Is it what's the story? So one of the leaders of the Progressive Democrats of America told me, well, yeah, they did the platform already. I was like, oh, okay. So
Okay.
all right, so let me try to find it. So I did find that the platform had been discussed by a committee of the Democratic National Committee in June,
Okay.
and affirmed by that committee.
I see.
And so on the first day of the convention, the body of delegates voted on that.
I
So,
see.
it had been sent to them, and, I guess some of them read it, maybe, it was 90 pages. So it was a lot.
Yeah. No, I
Um,
hear you.
yeah, but it was put there and already passed. So from there,
Okay.
I spent a lot of time saying, okay, how do I make sure that people see this platform?
Mhm.
And
So when you say it was put there and it was passed, um, because some of the concerns that happened during the convention was that there was a concern that there wasn't anybody that spoke at the convention just regarding the situation in Gaza and the
right.
Palestinians, and someone who was really adamant about a ceasefire and reflected that portion of our population. So
Mhm.
how did this document come into play with those kinds of things? And were the ask from this document adhered
Um, I
to the
think
best
they
of your
asked.
understanding?
Yeah, I think that the question I had was, because the platform document was produced before Vice President Harris became the
The
nominee.
nominee.
So
Okay,
all the language had to do mostly with Biden
I
and
see.
what his positions were, and um, how they were in opposition to Trump positions and so forth.
Okay,
So the question was then, which parts of this platform would the vice president adopt, change, or ignore?
I see.
And we would only learn that through, her ensuing speeches and so on. So
Okay.
during her speech at the convention,
Hmm.
she pretty much stuck to the idea that, she had sympathy for what was going on. She was
Hmm.
going to go for a two-state solution. She was going to support Israel and so on. A lot of that language is in the platform, but there wasn't any opportunity to change the platform
I see.
after that time. So it's just a matter of using these bullet points that
That
I
were
developed
existing.
to say, okay, use that as a way to kind of track what she says, and
Uh-huh.
then to say, okay, here's what other um, advocates are saying. Are they going to continue to press her on the issue that they're concerned about? Are they
Mhm.
going to wait until after the election? How are they going to do that? But throughout the convention, there was action, agitation, meetings,
I see.
workshops on that issue throughout the time.
Okay. So these were the other ancillary meetings. And of course, we know
Yes,
there were protesters,
yes,
that were there. So we know that that happened and that hopefully there were ears that heard this and will take action.
and I think they're
Oh,
going to, continue to press.
right.
Another set of meetings that I attended had to do with reparations, and
Okay. Very
so
critical.
I mainly went to one reparation event, which was a strategic session, a strategy session, where people came together to decide if they were going to, because Reparations United put this event on,
Okay.
led by Cam Howard, and so he had a effort called Earn the Black Vote, which was an effort to galvanize Black voters around saying to the president, we need a reparations commission. And, if you do that before a certain time, then, it'll be more likely. So that's where that was prior
Okay. I'd
to
love to
Kamala.
be in on that. That's very interesting. And it's empowering reparations and earning the black vote, and that's what I think has to be spoken about,
Right.
simultaneously, as we support Vice President Kamala Harris. I think simultaneously we've got to put it out there that our vote has to matter, and it has to be earned for the things that we need. It's very, very critical. And that definitely, I believe, should happen in a simultaneous manner. And our
Right,
demands have to be heard.
right.
And we have to, count and matter. And I'm Terry Wisdom. This is Harlem Network News. And I'm here with our stellar journalist from South Carolina, Catherine Fleming Bruce. And we're just sharing the importance of the Black vote, and it should not be based on money, because in the economic strain of this country, we don't have as much money as the
Mm,
non-people of color. We do
right,
not. However, we are citizens. We pay taxes. We are deserving, and if you cut it out in terms of the taxes that the wealthy pay and the taxes we probably pay more. So I don't think that voices or attention to our needs should be based on our ability to donate to the campaign, because
right,
we are donating in another way and in service. And frankly, we deserve reparations on every level. So
right.
that's a thought. Uh-huh.
So it's important to me to go to the strategy event, but also to look at what was in the platform about reparations, to share that with that audience, and then to see, okay, are you? We know that we can't change the platform, but what's going to be the strategy to try to encourage, press, ask the candidate to make a statement. So I think
Okay.
right now the effort is to ask President Biden to, either before or shortly after the election, to go ahead and put a reparations commission in place. And I actually
Okay.
did a brief little recording
Uh-huh.
that's on my page
Okay, great. On your
with
Facebook or Twitter or
on
X or
On
TikTok?
Twitter and YouTube
Okay, X and YouTube
and TikTok. I put it
and
on
TikTok.
TikTok also.
Okay, so you're
Yeah.
covering all bases. Okay,
Yes. So
okay,
that's something brief that you can see what
okay,
Cam Howard's ask is for reparation.
okay. I love it. Thank you so much. So moving right along, if you could share, because we had the DNC, we had the debate. Things are all moving so quickly.
Mm,
Every day you need to, turn on whatever media you can. Turn us on Harlem Network News and turn Catherine Fleming Bruce on. We're really trying to bring you news and information,
mhm.
and we are claiming our seat at the table. We bring in our folding chair. We're
Yes.
making a way out of no way, but we're making sure that you are informed. So post debate, which was interesting, and I love the fact that your organization actually had a session with historians immediately after the debate, which was great,
Yeah.
because like a CNN and MSNBC and all of them had post debate things, but I don't think they could touch yours, because
Thank
you
you.
had historians and people were discussing, an extended aspect of it, as to
Mhm.
just sitting up and chatting on their reactions.
Right.
So I,
Right.
I love the fact that that happened. And then from a post debate standpoint, we know that we were rolling right into the Congressional Black Caucus,
Yes.
and we were able to collaborate, and I wasn't able to physically get down to the caucus. However, Catherine was able to get there
Mhm.
and really represent, and get the stories and information from all of us. So if you could just give us a brief reflection on the Congressional Black Caucus, and what the takeaway was from that, what the ask was, what the climate was there.
Well, it was my first CBCF event. So I was thrilled to be able to manage to get there. And as you said, resources are always a challenge. So,
Yes.
it was a blessing to be able to figure
Right.
out how to make it there. So I was there for 2 days,
Okay.
Thursday and Friday.
I
And,
see.
actually, I was there Wednesday, but I was too wiped out to do
Okay.
anything.
I hear you.
So,
I hear you. I hear you.
so Thursday, and there was a room for media folks, independent media folks to be.
I see.
And that was an opportunity for me to say, okay, well, what else is happening and what are you going to? And this is what I'm going to. And, we had some
Right.
very good discussions there. Um,
Uh-huh.
there were at least 10 events during
Uh-huh.
each time slot.
Right. So it was you had to
Oh
pick
my
and choose.
gosh. So
Yeah, I think
it was rough.
the good thing is because we were officially credentialed, and I think a lot of it was available online,
Mhm.
but we do have access to a lot of those sessions. So we'll have to
Yes,
kind of comb through them and pull out what's important for the Black community to know. Okay.
right. Now, a
Knowledge
couple
is
of
power.
sessions that I went to some of the SCOTUS session. There was a panel called SCOTUS Friend or Foe.
Okay.
And so they were
And
talking about,
before you even go further, because this is Harlem Network News, and we want to make sure the community's informed. So we don't just throw out words. When you say SCOTUS, tell us what you mean and what that entails.
exactly. SCOTUS is the short for United States Supreme Court.
Okay, got
So it would, so you might hear the word POTUS, which
it.
is President of the United States. SCOTUS
Okay,
is Supreme Court of the United States.
okay, got it.
So yeah, so the title of that event was SCOTUS Friend or Foe, asking if the Supreme Court, as it's now made up, is a friend to Black interests or if they're a hindrance.
Okay,
So it was very good. There was some talk about what policies needed to be enacted. For instance, expanding the Supreme Court, adding more people to it, so there would be more balance between conservative and liberal judges. Um, Creating ethics rules for the Supreme Court, which right now I don't think they have any brakes on them at all.
I
They're
see.
being wined and dined and all this other sort of thing.
Okay,
So those kind of things were suggested as policies that people were interested in. So I stayed there for a while. Then I went to the reparations session.
all
So
right.
I ended up having to.
Reparations, reparations, reparations.
Yes, yes. So, and actually the session I went to, because I met Ron Daniels. I don't know how many
Okay,
people know of him, but he is one of the longtime leaders in the reparations movement and in other Black oriented movements. I think he was with the Institute for Black World and Atlanta and some other things. But I met him and he was supposed to be in that panel, but somehow they had two panels and they divided them. So
okay,
I don't know what happened, but I ended up in the panel with well, it wasn't a panel, it was just Cam Howard. But
okay.
the interesting thing was that the daughter of the late Representative Sheila Jackson Lee was there.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Erica Carter. And so
Uh-huh.
she talked briefly about her campaign to win her mother's seat,
Whoa.
and it's a special election.
Wow, how
So
powerful.
yeah, so she's just going to fill the
Okay.
seat for a very brief time,
Uh-huh.
and then the person who is running for the full seat will take over in January. So it's
Okay.
like kind of a nominal thing, but she'll
Yeah,
be
so she's
in
not
it.
gonna run for the full seat.
No, I think I, I don't know what the timelines were, so
I
maybe
see.
that was part of the issue.
Okay, got
Yeah,
it. Got
but
it.
she is running for the special
I
election
see.
time
Okay.
period, and
Okay.
she'll continue to talk about carrying on her mother's work in reparations from there. But I think if
Beautiful.
she gets the seat, she'll be able to continue even when she's no longer in the seat to be a force
Right.
with regard
Okay.
to moving
Okay.
it forward.
Okay. So that's very significant. All right. So coming out of the caucus, what was the sentiment? This is the Congressional Black Caucus that meets every year about this time.
Mhm.
And what were the sentiments? Is the Congressional Black Caucus all Democrats, or does it consist of Republican and Democrats who are part of the Black Caucus for the most part?
Well, the meetings, the sessions I attended,
Uh-huh.
um, some of them were events hosted by members of Congress.
I see.
Some of them were events hosted by what they call third party.
I see.
So I went to an energy event that was by a third party, and
I got it.
so that talked about issues. The other one might talk about something that was of interest to that member of Congress. And there was a lot of emphasis on the fact that, oh, we're nonpartisan here, but and they'd say little things from there. But
I
certainly
see.
the spirit of excitement around the Kamala Harris candidate campaign was very evident.
I see.
And as there were lots of sessions that talked about voting and mobilizing people and so forth. So there was a high energy piece in that, and the issues sessions had a note of optimism, because they're like, okay, well, hopefully we'll be able to get these additional things done, if this should happen.
I see.
So I
Oh,
think it was an optimistic feeling of excitement in the group. And of course, there was a meeting where some people went to the White House, and then
yes.
the president and vice president were at the Phoenix Awards on Saturday. So
Yes, absolutely.
yes,
So,
yes. And I wasn't there for either of those events, but
okay.
the excitement
Yes, and
carried over.
that would have been my intention to get there. But as independent Black media, we need your support. We need financial support. We
Mhm.
can do the job, but with financial support, we can do the job better.
Yes.
And that is very, very critical at this time. I mean, Harlem Network News, we have a GoFundMe, we have Zelle. We're looking for sponsorships. We know that it's critical, and we know that the job that we're doing is essential. You can go to our GoFundMe, our Zelle, our Cash App. All of those things are critical. And when you donate to us or to the grassroots media, like a Catherine or myself, you can actually see where your money's going because you
Mhm.
see what we're doing. It's important because obviously the larger campaign needs money, but right now that money is not trickling down to the grassroots media. That's something that we're going to speak to them about, because just in terms of messaging, we can reach voters that they cannot reach. In
Mhm.
a lot of our areas, in the Harlems of the world, we have a lot of people that are not registered, or if they are registered, they don't vote. And it's not necessarily apathy, but a part of it is that they don't see that change is going to come for them. And they're suffering, even when there is the narrative of the middle class. There's got to be the narrative of how do you raise up the poor, the
Mhm.
working poor, the educated poor, especially in terms of some of the cities, like a city like in New York, everything is, so very expensive, that it is, even if you're making 80 or $90,000, you're struggling to pay your rent and struggling to buy your food. So that's
Right.
reality here. And of course, in terms of the tax balance, we know that the over the $200,000, earners, they pay less taxes than the average working people. So these are
Yes.
some hard facts that we have to address. So, Catherine, we're going to wind down, but with excuse me, excuse me, with everything that's gone on, the post debate, possibly not another debate, the attempted assassination. What do you think?
Well, I think that I see a lot of gearing up to full speed for the campaign and for the advocates that are working on moving to the GOTV, get out the vote aspect of it. So that's what we're seeing now. The meetings are increasing. The calls for funding are increasing. We see all that happening. At the same time, I think the challenge is still going to be making sure that people understand and have their questions answered about policy, about more specifics to the economy, as you said, for poor and low wealth people, the things that Reverend Barber is talking about with the Poor People's Campaign and Repair the Breach. So he was one of the workshops that was there and continuing to press on that issue. So I think it's all going to boil down to that, how people feel that these critical issues, issues of the economy, issues of poverty, issues of what's happening in the Middle East and Gaza and other foreign countries, and whether or not we're even going to be able to get some of these congressmen and women into the roles to create a majority to be able to push an agenda forward. So these are all the things that are going to be critical. And I did want to mention, because I know most of your audience is New Yorkers, and I did sit in on a session with two congresspersons from New York, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke and Congressman Gregory Meeks. So both of them were doing a session on national security and AI. So had a chance to catch up with them. Okay, and I can't hear you.
Thank you for that. I'm sorry. I was saying I'm Terri Wisdom. This is Harlem Network News, and I'm on with Catherine Fleming Bruce and of South Carolina, major grassroots journalist there. But I was saying that we cannot have you on without talking a little bit about some of what's happening in South Carolina right now locally
Right.
at the University of South Carolina. So if you'd share, because we want our audience to be informed and we're connected. South Carolina is another one of our Harlems of the world. So we need to know what's happening. And that may not come out on mainstream media. I know you were at a rally today, so if you would just share a bit about that.
I sure was. I'm gonna see if I can pull up real quick the title of the event that is the subject of this controversy. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Let me pull that up. Okay. So okay, I think today was the date of what has been described as a roast of Vice President Kamala Harris
All right.
at the University of South Carolina. One of the speakers was Proud Boys founder Gavin McInnes.
Woo. Whoa.
And the title of the event had some kind of sexual innuendos.
I see.
So there was an immediate response from Black student organizations there, condemning the event. Some leaders in the state, NAACP petition was put forward to get the event canceled. So basically, the university's position was a free speech position. Mm-hmm. And hey, we don't like it, but free speech. And so today's event, because I think this event happened today. So today's rally was a another opportunity for legislators and other organizations to make statements against
This
that
kind of thing.
event. So
Okay.
some of the
Interesting the roles that the colleges are playing. You know, one kind of role in terms of, heavy-handed on, really being like chastised and even taken out for
Mhm.
taking any stances on Gaza. But in the meantime, in South Carolina with the Proud Boys, we're having some free speech. So we got to look at these things because it's very critical. Ping ponging back and forth last night here in Harlem. We had Black Men for Kamala, and
Mhm.
that took place at the Apollo, next to the Apollo, at our new Victoria, the Renaissance Hotel. And that was mainly attended by our public officials and Black men in business, some women, people were celebrated. And we want to give a big shout out to Shatik Mitchell, a former district manager for Community Board 10, which is Central Harlem, who now is the community liaison for the Central Park Conservancy
Mm.
and worked on us very closely for us getting the Gate of the Exonerated in Central Park, which was the first gate that was named after 150 years. So
Wow.
he and our the co-host, our district leader, William Allen, put this together. It was amazing.
Mhm.
And our state senator, Cordell Clear, and all of the women that put together Black women, Harlem women for Kamala were together, and they were an inspiration, Shatik said to him, to get this done. So, New York is making it happen. They're going to be doing a fundraiser, the Harlem Black Women for Kamala, because they want it to be known, hey, money is coming from Harlem. Money talks, you
Mhm.
know. But
Yes.
I also feel money talks, but I think our conditions, our support, it talks and it should talk and it should shout loud, in terms of
Yes.
the platforms of people of color. And, as we wrap up, I just want to lean in on the importance once again of media and telling our stories and what
Mhm.
happens, because our New York Mayor Eric Adams and his whole top tier team are under siege right now,
Mhm.
and we don't know what they did or potentially did. The police commissioner has stepped down. Nobody
Mhm.
else has stepped down, but this has become a media event, a media party, and we don't have information, but we know that once something is put out there, uh, it becomes an issue and we don't have facts.
Mhm.
And I look at it just in concern for this country and how is dealt with in the media. I look at it and as I see Puffy, P. Diddy, getting no bail. I don't know what he did, what the charges are, but I know as a Black man, he's getting no bail. I
Mhm.
have the reflection in my head of Bill Cosby being shackled and chained in an orange suit like he was a slave.
Yeah.
So, and then I have the reflection of Donald Trump with 34 counts or whatever counts it is, uh, not in jail, no charges,
Not at all.
and running for president. So
Right.
we've got to look at the imbalances and just deal with them. And Catherine, and also as we move on, I have one more question for you. I know we're a little bit over time, but I'd like to know what we can do, or your thoughts as grassroots Black media, to impact the community with news and information, and particularly our youth, because coming out of different TikToks and things, their whole takeaway, and we know this was fact checked, their whole takeaway is that people in Ohio are eating other people's pets, and that's from what came out of Donald Trump's mouth. So what can we do to educate our people, to inform our people, from our youth to our seniors? What do you think is a remedy to this?
Well, I'm encouraged by the different opportunities that digital media offers. I'm learning a little bit more about TikTok, and now
Right?
I'm putting some things up. So
Okay.
one thing that we can do is share educational pieces that we produce.
Okay.
So if you see something that's shedding some light,
Mhm.
let's try to amplify that,
Okay.
because some of us, have very small subscription lists, and we don't have the power that other folks have. We have to rely on the power of people to share what we have posted
Okay.
in our session. So I encourage people to do that. And of course, you can email things to people on your list to
Sure.
make sure that they
Absolutely.
get it. You can text it.
Right.
So let's help push these things out.
Okay.
I also want to encourage people, because one of the other things I'm working on is increasing the number of people who are part of the infrastructure of elections this year.
Mhm.
So by that, I mean poll workers,
Mhm.
poll clerks and managers, poll
Okay.
watchers and monitors, and election protection volunteers. So I am working to get the word out. I was on our local TV station yesterday here in South Carolina
I
to
love it.
spread the word about that and
Okay.
remind people, hey, you need to find out when the training is happening.
Okay.
Because in our state, the training is going to be like the first week or so in October.
Uh-huh.
So, I'm assuming it might be similar for some other states. So
Yes.
definitely check with your county election office to find out, hey, what's the training opportunities? How
Mhm.
can I get involved and be a part of that? Be a part of the early voting session. Be a part of talking to people about what's important, that our lawmakers do on the school board level, on the city and county and alderman level, our state. Talk to people about what they do and how the issues that concern us are going to be in the hands of these folks, and make sure that they participate in telling them, hey, we expect you to look out for us.
Okay. So we've got to take a stand. We're going to wrap this call up. We have a lot to deal with, a lot of work to do. I know most of us are not sleeping a lot, and we're just trying to keep getting the work done. So ride with us, support us. And I would be amiss if I didn't, right now, right here, just send out the prayers for the Jackson family, as I know we
Yes.
lost Tito Jackson this week. And
Yes.
I am also sending out the prayers. We found out last night that our great Congressman Charles Rangel's wife of many years,
Oh.
Alma, passed away. I
Oh.
believe it was just the day before yesterday. He was supposed to be at our Black Men for Harlem event. So we want to send many prayers out to the wife of Congressman Charles Rangel. She was a
Right, yes. And
force.
also prayers to Frankie Beverly.
Yes, yes, to Frankie
Oh,
Beverly.
what a
Yeah. So
oh my
we've
gosh.
had some losses, but I know that I look at it that I know that they are right in heaven, and they are looking out at us, and they're encouraging us and guiding us.
Right. And
So
James Earl Jones too.
yes, James Earl Jones. Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. So some mighty forces have marched on. So thank you so much, Catherine, and please send me the clip of you on the local station encouraging people to get involved and how they can involve.
I
And
sure
we
will.
just have to keep going. And, I have, of course, been working with Win with Black Women. We have been on the call. We've been on the call for 4 years, and we really got on right after doing an interview with AKAs. And there's a wonderful woman in Atlanta who I
Mhm.
believe is a state senator or a state official now. And that is Inga Willis of
Yes.
also Howard University. And she brought me on the call. So we got a lot going on. And I know tomorrow evening, I'm not sure the time, but there's a universal call with Oprah Winfrey, bringing together all these groups. Win with Black Women is at the forefront,
Mhm.
Black men, Win with Black Men, and white dudes,
Oh my
women,
gosh.
everybody's coming on, actors for Kamala. So it'll be interesting to really see that unity. But I'm very concerned and just working to work with people. I'm going to see if I would love to be able to see some of the rainbow events, particularly the ones along reparation and
Mhm.
our platform, because I think that we've got to develop a platform. Very critical. Very.
Right. Right. Well,
So,
please check out my page on YouTube. You'll be able to see the short clips from Erica Carter and from Cam Howard on
all right.
reparations.
Wonderful.
I did several compilations on both the my time at the Democratic Convention and at the Congressional Black Caucus. So you'll be able to see those on my
Great.
page. And my channel is Catherine Fleming Bruce for United States. So you'll be able to
Okay.
find me that way. If you put in Catherine Fleming Bruce, it'll come up. So
Okay.
yeah, look
Wonderful.
for it there.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Wonderful.
And thanks
Well,
again for the
okay.
invite
Okay.
and getting
Let's
a chance to
go.
talk to you.
Forward ever, backward never. In the words of Marcus Messiah Garvey, let's go. Power to the people. And this is
Yes.
Harlem Network News. And please Zell us your donations, Cash App us your donations, GoFundMe your donations. It's Harlem Network News at gmail.com. And it is Cash App $ Harlem Network News. We need your support. The work is essential. And it is for us, by us. Let's go. So thank you very, very much. Good.
Thank you.
Blessings.